Welcome back to Investing and Trading Live, sponsored by Online Trading Academy. And we are having a good time talking about the markets. In the last segment, we talked about buyers and sellers in the market, which is demand for buyers, supply for sellers. And there was a lot of some good news this week. I mean, all news is good news. I mean, you can take it how as you wish, but the debt ceiling talks, Al was talking about the rate potential increases or not increase. So all this news is just created and it brings opinions to the public. Well, the institutions are driving these moves in the markets. And that's where our strategy here at the Academy, we're looking to identify where are those banks, institutions buying and selling. Doesn't matter who it is. And it's just, it's a reflection on a price chart. That's where we identify that. And that's where you put your odds in your favor, odds and probabilities to make smart investing decisions. And we do have these investing classes that a lot of people have been coming into to see what these concepts and techniques are. We do these classes during the week. We also have them on the weekend. And for those of you that did miss seats for that class, make sure to text the word investing to the number 210 right now. And that's for 2 seats. Text the word investing to the number 210 for 2 seats for the investing class. When you do that, you'll get a text right back. It's automatic. And that gives a link to our landing page so you can pick your own date. So make sure to click the link and pick a date that works best for you. And we'll make sure we get you a call as well so we have all the details in the class. We're local here in Bloomington, so come check that out when you get a chance here in the next week or two. So, Al, as I ended the last segment, I mentioned it's NBA Finals week or Finals month. You know, we had a great playoff run, watching the playoffs, and we were down to the Miami Heat versus the Denver Nuggets. And in the interim between their game 7 till game 1 with Miami, and it would be after game 4 to game 1 with Denver, they didn't just sit around and do anything. They were watching film. They were relaxing, getting some treatments and preparing for the game. And then the coaches were starting to put together a game plan for the NBA Finals. Well, how do we strategize this? What do we do if Jimmy Butler does that? What if we do if the Joker does this? And how do we plan to defend these highly talented athletes in the finals? So they're preparing for those finals to obviously have the outcome to get the trophy.
Sure.
Now, the same thing in the financial markets is you have to have some sort of trading or investing plan that has set rules with it. Set rules and first off, your objective on what you want to accomplish, and then how do you get there? So where are you at now? Where do you want to be in the future? And then how do you get there? So let's talk about a little bit about that here in this segment here, because there's a lot of listeners, Al, that are looking for another income strategy, but don't know where to start or don't know how to start. And so what are some of the beginning stages of having a trading investing plan if you need another income strategy in your life?
Well, that word plan is significant. There's a handful of words that are really important and impact your ability to or your chances of being successful. When you were using that basketball analogy, Josh, what one team is doing when they put a plan together is they're kind of looking at a worst case scenario, looking at each player on the opposing team and what that player can do to you. That's risk. In the markets, the same thing. It's risk. You have to know how to control risk. That's part of a plan.
And minimize it too.
Well, you have to minimize. That's controlling it. Control risk. And if you're going to be a trader or investor and you want to be able to do it for more than a week or a couple of months, you have to know how to not lose.
And that's the objective I talked about. You have to have some sort of reason on why you're looking at that income strategy, whether, say, you have a job and it's not paying enough to save or you want to get out of it. There's different reasons why people are looking at the market, but you have to identify that.
Yeah, exactly. And again, getting back to that basketball analogy, if a team just went out and didn't have any kind of plan and just said, yeah, just go out there, dribble and shoot and score some points, you wouldn't necessarily you probably wouldn't do very well at all. You have to know what you're facing and you have to know how to take advantage of every opportunity. The same thing is true in trading.
Those teams that did that this past year probably were in the NBA lottery for the number one pick.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, there's a silver lining there, I guess, for them a little bit. But you know what? You mentioned something earlier in that first segment. I just want to comment on. You said we've been around for 26 years.
Hmm.
Think about that. You know, our job is to make people successful investors and traders. You cannot be around for 26 years if you're not doing that successfully. So again, you know, come into one of these classes and let us show you what we do, how we have been successful over those years.
Well, it's having a consistent strategy, and everybody has a different definition of success. That could be time, like we talked about earlier. It's not always monetary, so that's why it's important to have that goal or objective. That way, you define what that success looks to you.
Well, and that's correct. That's a good point. And your plan should cover this. Where are you now financially, and where do you want to be in the future? What do you want your financial life to look like in 2 years or 5 years or 10 years? And what your goal is, what your objective is down the road, is going to be different than somebody else's. So it becomes very important to have somebody help you put together a plan that is specific to you. How do you get from where you are now to where you want to be? You know, I think a lot of our students are coming in here and they just want to be able to do whatever they want to do whenever they want to do it and not have to be concerned about the cost of it.
That's the freedom
That's
of
a goal.
time.
That's freedom of time. Exactly. And you mentioned another word, and you mentioned consistent.
Hmm.
Consistency is a huge part of being successful. It's not. Don't go into this looking for huge profits. Don't look at that as being everything you concentrate on. You have to learn a process. You have to be consistent in what you do. Those big wins will come. But if you're consistent, then it's like baseball. Here's another sports analogy.
Hmm.
Everybody that gets up and hits that's a good hitter does not get a home run every time. In fact, the singles, doubles, triples, those are the ones that really win games.
You look at Moneyball. The movie Moneyball was based off a true story with Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill.
Right. Yeah. So being consistent in what you're doing, and that's following a process that has been shown to work over time. That's what we do. We teach you how to do this so you have that consistency and you follow a plan that is designed for you.
Yeah, I know. And that's the cool thing about the sports is there's a lot of analogies with sports that we can really bring into the financial world as well. And I gotta, applaud you, Al. When I was talking a little bit earlier and I was mentioning some different words and you brought them back and we're talking about them, I'm proud. You were actually listening.
I do occasionally listen to
Once
you
in a
guys.
while you do listen.
Yeah,
I'm very
yeah.
proud of you. Let's keep that up. But
Well,
Al,
and you just happened to say a couple of important things this time.
But
I
you
just
know-
happened to be listening when you said it.
but you did notice those words were very short for you though. Plan,
Yeah,
can you spell that?
I can spell that.
The
Josh.
plan to that's how you spell it, Al. The. But going back to the financial markets, we have a lot of fun on this show here, and we got to make sure we give an opportunity to our listeners to come into one of these investing classes that we do here locally. These are classes where we've taught thousands, just like you, our different strategies, which are designed to teach you to make smarter trading and investing decisions. So text the word investing to the number 210-210 right now. Text investing to the number 210-210. And this is for 2 seats for an investing class here locally. Al teaches these. I teach these as well. And we have a lot of fun on the show. We do have a lot of fun in these classes as well. And these are very interactive. If you have questions, make sure to bring them with you so we can answer any questions that you have, whether you're looking for an income strategy or a wealth strategy. And that kind of gets into the next topic I want to talk about here, Al, is people that are looking at income strategies in the market, they are looking at them based off of just the stock market. Everybody knows the stock market, and they say, "Oh, how do I trade the stock market? It's only open during the day, 6.5 hours a day, 8:30 until 3 Central Time." And they just don't have the opportunity because they work during the day. But also, it does require a lot of capital, right? If you want to trade more than 4 times per week, you're required to have $25,000 in an account.
Yeah, that's being a day trader.
That's what the pattern day trader rule based off FINRA.
Right.
Now, there's other assets that allow people to trade at night. We kind of kicked the show off with being able to trade and invest even on a Sunday afternoon or evening. Explain those assets and why people are really drifting towards those because of the opportunities that they do present.
Yeah. Well, think about this for a minute. If what Josh just said, if you don't know what he's talking about, why not? Why haven't you been educated on these other assets? And the only thing that you're really talked to about are stocks and mutual funds. Well, maybe it's because the big players, the real successful traders out there, the Wall Street institutions, maybe they want something that they kind of keep to themselves. And that's what really creates benefits for them. Those assets that we're talking about, you can trade the stock market. We show you how to do that. And we show you how to do it with success, with the odds of being successful in your favor. But we also show you these other assets. And these other assets have a number of benefits that all of the big players are utilizing. Even guys like Warren Buffett, he's a big stock guy. He basically buys companies by buying, a controlling portion of their stock, or a high enough portion of their stock to have influence over what they do. But he also makes billions of dollars a year trading these other assets. And we'll spend a lot of time in these 2-hour classes talking about these. What they are, it's the options market, the foreign exchange market, the futures market. The futures market and the foreign exchange market, they're open essentially 24 hours a day. So that gives you a lot of opportunities to trade. Even with the options market, which is open during the stock market hours, you don't have to be there. You don't have to be present to actually put a trade together and to manage that trade. Those are things that we teach you how to do. Why are these assets so beneficial? Futures, Forex, options. Well, I mentioned the 24-hour trading of futures and Forex. What about leverage? If you have $1 to invest, and it will buy $1 worth of something for you, that's kind of a 1-to-1 leverage.
Whoopity-doo.
Yeah, a big deal. But what if that $1 could buy $50 worth of something, or $100 worth of something? Would you rather have that kind of a relationship? Probably. If not, I'm not sure why not. But these assets are leveraged. In other words, each dollar does buy a multiple of that dollar's worth of that particular investment. So that allows you, Josh mentioned that a lot of the equities out there are very high priced. Some of them, are $400 or $500 a share, or over $1,000 a share. It's pretty hard to put together a decent sized position with something like that unless you're a multimillionaire or a billionaire. So how do you participate in those? Well, you can use options. Options will allow you to get into something for a fraction of the price. Instead of paying maybe $15,000 to $20,000 for a position, maybe you're looking at $500, $700, $1,000, somewhere in in that range. You can kind of choose the option that you want to invest in and how much you want to put into it. But you also are controlling risk. And as we mentioned before, that's the most important thing. Don't ever go into anything until you know what the outcome could be, whether it's good or bad, and then you control both of them, by the way. You control risk, but also the outcome if you're right. One of the mistakes a lot of people make is not knowing how to take a profit. But again, I mentioned that these assets not only are good as far as the amount of time they trade, the leverage that they have, but also they're short-term in nature. So look, here's kind of the difference between what Wall Street has you doing, which is a long-term buy and hold, and short-term trading. So the question is really, do you want money now, or do you want to wait 10 or 20, 30 years and then maybe have some then?
Yeah, and that's also very important to have the right strategy based off of market conditions, right? So going back to the NBA Finals, I mean, if the Miami Heat do a pick and roll every single play, Denver is going to know what to do with that. They're going to start to defend on that. And that's kind of what the public has been doing for years and years and years. And over time, haven't done that well in the markets. They just buy and hold and hope things go up. Well, there's strategies as markets go down for income. There's strategies as they go up. There's strategies as they go sideways. So it's having the right strategy for the current market condition. And then we really dive into a lot of that in these investing classes, that people are looking to have another income strategy is what is the market condition now? It's kind of like that one, that'll term, what are you doing for me today, market? Mm-hmm. And then how do I use the strategy to profit off of that? And that's what it's all about, having the right strategy for your goal or objective. And so these investing classes, they're only 2 hours of your time. And can 2 hours change your life? Potentially, but you won't know unless you come in and check it out. Text the word investing to the number 210-210 for 2 seats for this class. These classes are local here and, hands-on. Bring any questions that you have in, and we'll see how we help you out with different income strategies. Text the word investing to the number 210-210 for 2 seats for this class here in Bloomington. Coming up next, we're going to talk about those different strategies for up and down markets, but also in your wealth accounts will be retirements, 401ks, and IRAs. We'll be right back.